Oh,
Oh,
he's
he's
muted.
muted.
His mic is probably fine, Drake.
Drake, shame, shame, shame.
I well, okay, I did say.
And then
Fuck's sake.
Okay, do we want to do
Watch,
a
watch
retake?
it. No, we don't want to do a
Well,
retake.
no,
Watch him
this is
die.
perfect.
No, because you can just cut out where it says from Magnus to
No,
me.
this is Drake.
No,
So-
you don't need to cut it.
okay.
You don't need to cut it
Okay.
because you know what? Imperfections make
It
perfection.
works. It works. You know, it's all about Drake, as you'll find out over the next however many episodes of this. It is all about usability over performance. So, well, that's the same thing.
And then
And then to my
There goes the wine glass.
Whichever
To our
way
bottom right
is
One Shot,
is
who
One Shot.
unfortunately is MIA tonight. Now, before we start, Ethan and I, we're both from the UK, as you can probably tell. We are currently in the process of planning Manchester Bar Citizen, which is happening on March 2nd. Now, currently, we are at full capacity. However, we are awaiting CIG's response as to just how many, not if they are, but how many of their employees are attending. After that, we have a maximum capacity of 150, and we'll be releasing the tickets out then. So, onto the podcast.
Well, hold on. Can I add on something to that?
Sure.
Because it's going to be a fantastic event. The last one was where you and I met, right?
Correct.
And look what's happened. You know, it's the place where friendships are made. You get to meet the devs of CIG, and you get to meet other people that have the same unhealthy love for ships as you do. So you know, it's a great time to go, and I definitely think if you are going and you know you can't make it, please do free up your tickets so someone else can get it. That's really helpful and it's really kind. Thank you so much. All right. Oh God, get that hat away from me. There you go. The floor is yours.
So just to close it out there, it's being held over on Eventbrite. Just sign up. It's free. Get a ticket. Again, it's free. It's just so we have a approximate headcount. So,
but right now you can't get tickets until.
That is correct. Onto the show.
Do you like Saber Raven? Yes or no?
Yes.
Not anymore.
That's the end of our show. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so should there be a periodical rise and fall of in-game companies based upon in real life sales, meaning that those ships could potentially rotate out the store permanently unless bought out and or given a slight redesign by the new company? Ethan, take us away.
So are we talking the case that when sales for a specific ship go down, they get the ship, the price becomes more, I don't know, attainable for a citizen?
No, because that wouldn't be the case in real life. So I think what the question is getting at is that, say for instance, the Aurora isn't selling particularly well in the in-game market. RSI are taking a bit of a dip in the stock market. If it is non-sustainable over a period of time, say the new line of RSI ships that come out can't sustain the company economically, RSI is then up for, they might be calling the liquidators. It might be down to another company to step in to either buy them out, and if they buy them out, well, which ships are they choosing to adopt into the new line?
I'm going to say no.
You're going to say no?
I'm going to say no right there, but I will say that if you were, I think there would be a nice way of doing it. The 300 series, I really preferred the old 350R, and it's a shame that that model had to go. And I know that CIG at one point said that, we could, the old model will go, but there's no saying that they couldn't bring it back again as like a Mark 1 or a Mark 2 version. So I don't know, depending, see how it goes. But what do you guys think? Should companies be liquidated? Because they'll have to, the branding team that just started, they're going to have a nightmare. Like we just saw inside Star Ciizen with the branding team, they would have a nightmare if companies were liquidated.
I think that's partially going to be somewhat into the game, not necessarily IRL, but obviously Quanta is going to make an impact. It depends how far they go with it. But you can't choose like a specific ship and say, is it going to be rotated in and out of the store? based on sales. For example, like the Mighty Drake Herald. How many people actually buy that in game? Realistically, not a lot of people. So, is it gonna cause the ship price to go down or rotate out the store because people don't buy it? But it's a niche ship, so not many people are going to buy it. Where if they put the F8 up for sale in store or online, is the price in game on that going to skyrocket up to the millions because everyone's a fanboy of the F8?
Okay, right, let's put it this way then. So your beautiful ship, the Drake Herald. You're right. Not many people buy it, but CIG are always in touch, aren't they? Through ISC and all the other shows they put out and all the information they put up on the website, and they say, Drake's not doing too well. They're up for this ship particularly hasn't sold very well. There could be the potential this ship is going to dip out of production. Now, as a consumer, would you not be like, that could be a rare ship, and if they do go under, I might be one of these people to have one of the last ones. And the resale market, of course they're going to know that this holds like some brevity with the community. It could bring FOMO into the frame.
I was just going to use that word. I mean, CIG love their FOMO, right? I think this is a question as much about the dynamic economy as it is about ships itself. I would like to see not only if people are buying it, but are there enough resources being mined and sent to the right factory in the right cluster of wherever to be able to make that ship. Yeah. Let's say there's a particular ingredient which isn't getting to the right factory. Those ships should then be offline in game because people aren't mining that particular ingredient enough.
I feel like we should take it further. Like companies could go into trouble because they don't have the required components to build the ships because they're not getting the resources.
Personally, I don't think that's going to happen because I think there's enough breadth of people buying enough ships that they would go bust. I think there's racers who will buy racing ships. There's others that will buy other things.
Yeah.
So I think there'll always be people buying stuff, and you got to remember there's 9-to-1 NPC to player base, right? So there'll always be people buying stuff. I think it's more likely that there's not the price of the ships will go up and down based of enough materials reaching those factories to build those ships, or there being too much demand because we just had a huge war somewhere and all the anvil ships have just been bought out, right? And the arrow currently costs 100 mil because
or lore reasons.
Too much demand. Yeah, or lore reasons, or it could be an event that CIG do. I think the prices should go up and down, but I don't think that the companies themselves will go out of business because people will just keep buying ships.
Okay. Aren't they already going to do something similar, not with the ship prices, but with resources, with Quanta? So obviously when something happens, like a big conflict in one area, the prices are going to go up. Like, should they do that with ships, for example? Should the price of certain materials go up in Crusader because they use that material to build the Crusader ships there? Obviously, we know commodity value is going to change, but like Mash said, obviously, should the ship commodity values, should the ship value change if, for example, they're not selling enough of that specific material in that area? Obviously, in real life, that would be the silicon shortage has caused the price of things to go up in real life. So why shouldn't that happen in game?
So I think there's going to be the question is, should they do it? Should they, or is the question, will they? I think there will be an artificial price on ships. I think there'll be an artificial call for it no matter what. They're not going to cut a ship from sales or anything like that. So that's not going to happen as far as the in-game ships go. Now, the second part is, should they do it, right? Well, yeah, if you want to simulate a real world, companies drop vehicles all the time if they don't sell well or do well, or if things cost more, the prices go up. That's reality. I don't know that they'll follow it that closely. I think as far as spaceships go, there'll be an artificial market.
I want to bring a quick example, though, potentially. I don't know what we're going to be doing in terms of mentioning other games by name, but there is another game where there was a commodity market and there there was one commodity that was sold for single figures in the in-game currency, and an org, a large group of people, we're talking thousands of people, basically bought tons of this item, and then it had a stock market in it, and it basically goes off supply and demand. So there's a huge demand for this item because thousands of people were buying thousands of that item, which then meant the price of it went up to like 4 figures, 5 figures in this game, which meant this random terrible piece of equipment that wasn't even usable like to most people in the game went up like thousands of percent in value. So I think even if that was added to the game, there will be groups of people that would not exploit it, but ruin that part of the game if they have that functionality. If they don't want people to buy the Herald, I don't know why, for whatever silly reason.
I mean, they should. They
would...
should want that to not buy the Herald because it's the
right.
Herald.
Right? Can we kick Ethan off his podcast? So
quite to the contrary, he's going to go solo.
Oh, what? Okay,
explain your position.
I mean,
why?
You were mentioning, how can we like name other games and stuff like this, and the way I've seen the development for Star Ciizen going is, they've often discussed, and by they I mean like the community, not CIG. They've mentioned Star Wars Galaxies, which was a game like back in 2004, had a really impressive economy, and one of the key reasons why that economy worked really well was because of wear and tear. Like um, you know, your weapons would, break over time. You would have to see someone else to get it purchased. There's some like servers still going on now, even though the company that produced that game is no longer working. So, if the game economy is done well, which I think it will do, this thing will continue. So where that brings me into is where you mentioned, should companies liquidate and their ships no longer be sale? I don't think companies should liquidate, because that would be a headache for the law team. And if that were to happen, what would happen? Say, for example, Anvil were to liquidate, what would happen to all their ships? Would a new manufacturer just come on and just take them all, or would they go? So I don't think that's possible, but I think I like what we're discussing here about the resources dictating the price of a ship, and that opens up the question, can players manipulate that price in a large enough group so that you could bring down the price of an Idris? Because I don't know, some org was able to blockade a jump gate and not get resources through, so Idrises became far more expensive, which could also have connotations in war. So it's like, what's going to happen with that?
All right. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dash.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, legally, this has now become a legal thing, right? Legally, CIG cannot take ships and manufacturers out of the in-game. And here's why. They've sold these ships with real money to people, right? So legally, places like Germany, they have to have the insurance capability on those, which means that if they take it out of the in-game and that ship can't be reinsured or recreated somehow because the company's liquidated, then they're in trouble in real life legal terms. So sorry to bust this question, I think they will always have to leave it in game. I think the prices will fluctuate up and down like we've discussed, but I don't think they'll be able to take the things out of the game, because if someone uses a real bought ship and it blows up and they have to claim it, they need the company behind it to deliver a new one, right?
Yeah, I hear you, but that could be changed through law. That could be changed through. Yeah, that's an easy fix for them. They just go
the real. Sorry.
Yeah.
The real legal question isn't so much that they can't do it because they could change. There's a company that makes aftermarket parts for these ships or whatever. They could just write that in. That's not an issue. The real problem is when they sell these ships out of game, they go out of their way to mention that all these ships can be purchased with in-game money. So that there could be a breach of
I mean, they do
a
mention
contract.
on their blurb there, and I didn't want to go down this route, but they always say you're pledging, you're not actually buying. So it's it's really muddy, and I don't want to get into the legal side of it. I just know that it would be a headache for them. So I think in answer to your question, I I would like to see ship prices affected by in-game stuff or events that have been created for lore reasons, like special events, kind of like Ninetales or Blockade, like just coming around. I'll be up for that. But to completely remove them from the store, nah. If anyone removed Anvil, Aegis, or Crusader from the store, I would be very upset, and that would not be good.
Okay.
Another
Okay.
another quick one to against it is you're never going to remove Crusader ships from the store because Crusader own an entire bloody planet. They have the money to manufacture ships. Yeah, but
All right. So here's the problem, and I think the prices should be fluctuated and be able to be fluctuated by large logs. I think they should be able to control mining areas or be able to flood a market with resources, and that should affect the prices of ships. His I would say that that's a great idea, but after hearing the economy team speak last week, which I don't know if anybody listened to that, they're not even putting the prices of the materials in the ship in the factor.
That's right now. I heard it, but that's right now. I think what he was trying to say was that's subject to change so much that they're modeling it in another way. I think once they come up with what the makeup of all the ships is, that's when they'll put that kind of thing in. I think this is just a step into that direction. That was my take on it.
Nothing like that should change until Quanta is involved as well when it comes around to the market side of it. So once they've got a number of how many components materials go into a ship, that they can then plug that into like the AI marketing side of it, and then that'll automatically do it in game. They don't have to change anything; it just happens.
So as far as games with an amazing economy, Eve has one because it's 100% player driven. This they've already said will not be 100% player driven. There will be artificial markers in there
from NPCs, right?
Yeah, because of NPCs.
Yeah. Which is nice because that gives it a bit of stability and gives a bit more direction. And it means, I think, and I'm probably wrong here because I'm not an economist, and I know there's some people that spend ages in game just playing the economy, not only on Star Citizen, but you're gonna see orgs with hullies coming in, going, "I've got this hully filled with titanium. I'm just going to sell this whole load and flush out the market and manipulate." Because eventually there will, when these prices go, there will be some kind of system to. I mean, players are doing it now. They've got spreadsheets where all the prices are and stuff like that. There will be ways of manipulating the market. So if they've got the NPCs in there to keep it a bit more stable, that's really going to be healthy, I think.
So do you think we're going to have an org member or a couple of members who are like Excel ninjas who are good at conditional formatting and go, this is the highest price at selling, this is the lowest price at buying, this is where the trade route should be? It could be done, surely.
That could be done. The other thing that could be done is working out which choke point, because we've got choke points in this game, right? Which choke point you need to choke to really choke the whole system.
Or privateers who want to take the equipment for themselves.
I believe Elite Dangerous had a webhook capability where it would automatically export prices online. So if they did something like that in Star Citizen, your conditional formatting spreadsheet is automatically populated.
I mean, that's cool. I'm sure when APIs and stuff come in. So I just want to take us back. So obviously we've raised the point of like the law in Germany. I don't see that a ship that was bought for real life money can ever really be taken away. Maybe there'll be different levels of severity of the penalty when you come to claim your ship, but I'm sure that that's always going to belong to you. No matter where you bought it or how you bought it, as long as it belongs to your account, it was bought with real life money, it's always going to belong to you at a certain level.
Yeah,
they can't take it away.
They legally can't take it away because of so many countries, not just Germany.
But they could do this company as a subsidiary of Crusader, for example.
Hold the thought a second. So, under that, you could implement this system. We've seen it so many times with ships like the Solstice edition of the Nautilus and the Valkyrie Liberator edition, which I really want myself, but I'm never going to get without paying like a stupid amount of money.
You can chill for it now. If there's anyone out there that's listening that has one, get in touch.
It's orange. I like orange. Leave me alone.
Yeah,
but
he likes skins. He likes wasting money.
I know exactly. This is the point. It's just a skin, but they have said, and I've spoken to personally, and said this is never going to come again. And like, I kind of respect them for that because they are really limiting them ships. And if they just say, "Oh, this is a limited ship," and even just once go, "Do you know what, we're going to put it up for sale again," then it's no longer limited.
I did hear, and this was a while ago, that it is limited, but it's not impossible to get it if there's a competition and there's one in that, or say, for example, through some miraculous way you perform an act of service to CIG to the point they go, oh, how can we ever repay you? Then you could just go, I would like the Liberator, like please give me the.
It's easy, man. Just buy the Legatus pack.
Chris Roberts, if you're out there and you need a foot massage, I don't like him, but I'll be your guy, right?
Sod that, bro. Chris Roberts, if you need a kidney, I need a Nautilus Solstice. If you want a kidney, half a liver, it's there. All right.
A Nautilus Solstice, just for a kidney.
Let's not do this in the live version.
Yeah, well.
This is going live, isn't
it?
I pledge.
Yeah.
I've not pledged for a fucking. I ain't pledging for my Herald. I'm pledging for my
foot massage from OneDark.
Yeah, that's it.
But if we can take a branch into the multiverse here, I personally would really love to see this happen. Not just because people would just scramble over the FOMO and these old ships you've got, RSI Aurora, is going to be worth money in 10 years' time when you've got these new players to the game and the in-game system is fully fleshed out and you can trade. People are still going to sell ships out of the game. But imagine RSI, not RSI, Mirai went under. And that's Misk, isn't it? Gone. Imagine the Razor, but built by Aegis with an Aegis twist.
It'd be slow as hell.
Don't go down that road.
You say that, but it's going to look
Don't
slick.
go down that road. I know I've said no to both questions. I'm normally an optimist, but god damn it, I swear if
just imagine that.
If Drake
I'm a big Aegis fan.
If Drake get their hands on the F7A, I'm going to throw my keyboard out the window and walk out.
But
Chris Roberts, if you're out there, this is an amazing idea. We 100% need this done. Drake takes over everybody.
Oh god. I can just imagine Disco Lando right now, like.
Well, I think if Aegis could survive the fall of the Mezzas, they'll make it a little while longer. So
I'm hoping.
Oh, he's just throwing lore at us.
He's just dropped lore.
Okay, let's put it on its head. Let's say Drake are the ones that suffer. They've got their ships don't cost that much, but they're not built the best. They've got poor returns, like whatever.
Get out.
Now Drake build the Kraken, right?
Yes.
So that would have to be taken on by another manufacturer. There's no other ship that does what that offers. So again, I'll use Aegis because I'm a massive Aegis fan. Imagine the Kraken built by Aegis or Origin, becomes almost like luxury.
Drop it off at Brio's. Get it built for scrap.
It's probably worth more.
That's gonna be a lot of scrap right there. That's gonna be a lot.
of Liberator.
Just take a moment to look at the pain coursing through this poor gentleman's veins right now.
No, but to your point, OneDark, they have the Liberator, right? So they have their version of the Kraken.
So
no,
they have a mini version.
Pocket carriers.
Yeah, pocket carrier.
That's what they're gonna do to it, right? They're gonna ruin it.
So
CJ's point.
Drake is perfect. Like,
So let
Just let me move
Look-
that duct tape there. Sorry.
let's say they were going to do this. Let's say that they were going to even, pretend this idea was feasible. What would it be based on? Just players purchasing them? Because once again, we're not even like, what are we, 1/10 the market?
That's true. Well, depending if they stick with that, one human player per 99 NPCs or whatever.
So we're not even 1/10. We're 100th the market.
No, I
It
think
could have
it's
an
9 to 1.
impact.
Yeah.
9-1. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
what I
9.
heard.
All right,
Yeah.
that's all right. So 9-1. So we're 1/10.
Is that currently,
It
or
could-
is that just that's what it's going to be? You talk about like one
That's what
player
this-
to every like quanta.
That's what they said in the past, and that's how they're going to do what Magnus said, that it's not going to be a complete player-run economy. They're going to have NPCs doing the legwork and things like that, right? So
I want to. There is one thing that was recently mentioned at CitizenCon that might. They discussed. They talked about base building and they talked about crafting, and blueprints was dropped. Now blueprints is going to be really interesting on how CIG use that, because the only other crafting system that I can think of that used blueprints that I've played was Star Wars Galaxies. Now blueprints, how rigid will CIG be with that? I don't know, but if they make it so, for example, a player wants to go down and start crafting their own ships, they have a factory and they're putting blueprints in, how much of, say, for example, if you have a blueprint for a Hornet, could you then combine that with a part blueprint from like a Drake ship, which you would no.
I
Don't
can't
wanna
see
go
this
there.
ever really happening the way that this has
no,
been
this happens
sold.
today. No, sorry, this happens today. If you try and look at some ships, like some Crusader ships, they have Drake parts in them today. So I think I put a link up in or a picture up in our Discord months and months ago about looking at I think it was a C1, and one of the components in it was a Drake one, and I was like, oh look.
I'm just going to my hangar now to melt my C1.
I think it'd take us to CJ, who's somehow managed to find his Drake hat.
Is that the wrong branding though, or is that the latest?
CJ, are you coming through? Can't hear you.
That was muted. No. It's the Drake ejection handle, is what it was.
That's what it was.
Yes, it's on a number of ships as well. I think it's on like the Arrow, certain components like that, which means certain manufacturers will never realistically go under.
Hang on, does
because
this
they
mean
are
then?
selling components to other manufacturers?
Yes.
But the
yes,
question
this
is
means-
why, and this must then fall down to patenting is still a thing in Star Citizen.
And because Drake is best, so
That's what never get
There's also just it. Harley doesn't make every bolt that's on the Harley. So,
Yeah.
it's Land Rovers. Discovery Land Rovers are a British company, but every single component of it is made overseas, just assembled in the
by
UK.
many different companies.
Yes, French
So, yeah.
companies, German companies,
and
loads of
those
other companies.
those the pots that are making pots for the Land Rover are also making their own cars. They're making, so it's
Not necessarily. Some people are just in the supply chain.
yes, there is that, but there are pots from different cars on a lot of cars. That's a pretty common thing we do now in general.
It
I can imagine
depends.
it would change.
It depends on how far we want to take the original point, because if Crusader, for example, go under, a lot of components on a Crusader ship will be subcontracted, as they are in IRL. So are those subcontracted companies? A small company, a guy in a shed, is making millions of bolts for Crusader ships. He no longer has a contract anymore. Is he now going to go bust? And every other small company that's doing the same thing?
I think if someone's making a bolt, it can be used other places.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a Drake bolt, you won't want to put that anywhere else, would you? Like,
There is
perfection only belongs in one place.
I'm fairly certain the
the
Drake
bin.
bolt's the same bolt that's on the fucking Origin ships.
Yeah, she's got pretty paint over the top of it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's not just the manufacturing parts as well. There's other aspects to the manufacturers that across the whole brand. So you've got also like when you start up your ship, that voice, and also soon to be coming like Drake ships will look different to Aegis ships and vice versa. So it'll be interesting to see if they make those sort of, because that's software really, and if you can then say, well, I like Crusader ships, but I would like to have the Aegis voice and UI inside that. It's software, so manufacturing there's kind of like a crossover. Would it be possible to sort of mix match like those aspects?
Have we gone way off topic now?
No,
Yes.
Possibly.
no, we're still on. As far as I'm aware, we're still on
Whilst-
topic.
Okay.
Whilst I
we're
have it
just
in my
go-
head,
I can
It's
take us
a
off
huge
topic if
rabbit
you
hole.
like, because
No,
someone's
no.
raised a very good point that's got me thinking over it, and that's quanta. Are we going to see physicalized quanta? Because the depth of that would be incredible.
Yes.
You've got the E1 coming out. You've got the Genesis Starliner, who are going to need
What do you
these
mean by
flights.
physicalize?
Physicalized as in, that there's a demand somewhere for, say, like a worker. Are you going to see a worker at Seraphim Station board an NPC transport to go to that said place, to get off, to go to work?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
If there is a human player there, this quanta should be coming visible.
Yeah, it should dictate.
So this is then the other thing. No one's even mentioned this as far as I'm aware. You've then got the intelligence loop as a game player. You then know that there is going to be a demand in this place. You know where the sources are, providing you've done your intelligence, and you can implement those choke points. If you're an effective pirate organization, going back to what CJ was saying about controlling the economy and restricting those resources to boost prices, that would be a very, very interesting game loop.
are we talking about kidnapping workers? Is this where? Is this
Yeah,
where, are we
absolutely.
kidnapping, are we
He's
kidnapping
going
people?
murder hobo on this, man.
Okay, cool.
Well,
so we should use a Drake.
We're gonna just
so-
grab a load of workers, put them in a room somewhere, tell them that we want them to start building ships, and we'll throw a fun-sized Snickers bar in there and make them work. And
I'm sure that's done IRL.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't condone that kind of thing. But if they can do that in game, free labor, you can make a ship. That'd be pretty crazy.
So I'm going back to trying to remember what Tony Z's video said, right? In his video, I think he tried to show that that there would be a probability of those quanta coming up. I
That
don't know if
video was
100.
amazing.
yes.
Yeah, but it was a long time ago. But what I don't remember in that video is if 100% of that quanta would come visible, or would it still just be a percentage of that quanta come visible? Because it could be that you've got the choke point, but not 100% of those quanta come visible, so some of them keep going through, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would like to see 100% of quanta come visible. If you're somewhere with doing something, then you should be able to.
Yeah.
Do it. But I don't know if technology would allow it, because that's a lot of, if there's 5 million players, you times that by 10, that's a lot of things to come visible between choke points.
I think what we're going to see physicalized is all right. So this place is now booming. There's a new manufacturing boom going on over here in this area. For whatever reason, Org sets up a place and starts buying a lot of a certain mineral because they're manufacturing, right? A player Org. So now what you'll see is NPCs might stop mining in that area more. So you might run across that. But I think the main thing you're going to see is missions to bring workers that way, more delivery missions in that kind of direction kind of thing. I think that's the physicalized you'll see, not so much just tons and tons of ships of flying people over. But what you might get is more missions for transporting workers that way.
There's
And
so
also
many mining
security.
locations. This has surely got to be on their radar.
Well, They when they showed Quanta on that Tony Zervik demo, it wasn't just sort of like, having an NPC going from A to B. They also showed what the NPCs, what they were doing for the NPC development, and how each each NPC would have certain sort of like stats. So you had, I think, ambition was something, if they were lawful, or if they were willing to take risks and do other stuff. So that all affects the system as well. And they also have the ability to see, okay, right, there's a lot of players here kidnapping workers, so we're going to start sending in security there. So I'd like to see, and I think they will do it, that whenever, like Mash said, whenever you get a player in the area, you're going to be streaming exactly what Quanta is showing. And if you see an NPC name in Quanta, you'll see it actually in the verse if you go there, which is really exciting, because then they could probably use that Quanta map and, in some way to just keep the game moving.
I also think it'll be used physicalized for reactionary security forces. So if you start locking down a certain area, you'll start seeing more patrols of security forces in the area if it's a high sec place.
Yeah.
And that's why Anvil and Aegis will never go out of business, because people will keep doing pew 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 pew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine also not just it running the game on like continuously, but the connotations that it has for events in game. Say for example, in the future, they're having events now where Vandal fleets are jumping into areas and affecting planets, like trying to wipe out planets. They're trying to get players to an area that doesn't have a lot of activity in game. That's going to be really cool, and the Quanta could be used by the NPCs so that they can see an area that's needed and go into a system and take over and do all kinds of stuff, and then it's up to players and other NPCs to try and take it back.
I think Quanta Stream should follow the same rule of the 1 player to 9 NPCs, though. It should be, I don't think it'll be 100% streamed, but given the vast amount that NPCs are going to factor into the game, I don't think at this moment in time we will have the facilities to stream that amount of stuff.
Yeah, at this moment it's nowhere near that, but I think when it's fully fledged out, I think the main thing that was their sort of hurdle, from what I understand, was like the replication layer and server meshing. But Quanta, it's not a matter of if, it's more of a matter of when. And I think thanks to the replication layer, does that? I mean, I'm not technical, but I really enjoy watching those technical videos, and they're really, really good because you get to see the development behind them. So if there's anyone listening, definitely think you should check them out, because inside Star Citizen, even going back to some of the older stuff, like where they're speculating a lot, or theory crafting, which some of us hate and some of us love, right?
I love theory
Talking
crafting.
about people listening, Tony Z or Jared, if you're listening, we need a new ISC on dynamic economy, please.
Or Tony Zervik.
I'd love to see him on ISC.
I would love it as well.
I know we've kind of gone past the point, but can we go back to the previous topic real quick? Just a little tiny snippet about ship companies going out and then being purchased by someone else. If Banu get purchased, may we actually eventually see the BMM?
Why do you care? It's not Drake.
Because Drake might buy the Banu Merchantman. Imagine a Kraken, but a shop Kraken.
Yeah, before that, I was just thinking about the human companies buying out other human companies, but you raise a good point. Yeah.
Because what happens with Alien?
Well, they're just not. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It actually may make alien ships less
bearable.
gross.
Yeah, bearable. Nice. Yeah.
If there's one thing I hate more than a Drake ship, it's an alien ship. They can go
Oof.
home.
Don't be alienist.
Oh,
Don't
risky.
be alien.
That's
Well,
so
this
risky.
is getting
Stop being
banned.
alienist.
We
Yeah.
demonetized straight away on our first fucking first recording.
I don't like them. They make me nervous.
Okay, so staying on topic then, we've seen it before with 350R. Should CIG have implemented a Mark 1 and then a Mark 2? And should they be doing it with other ships as well, such as the MSR?
Yes.
Yeah,
350R definitely.
I mean, there's a difference between Mark 1 and Mark 2 and gold passing, right?
Sure.
Things need to go through gold pass first, I think, before they move them into a new mark.
It worked for the 300, like the 350R especially, because the rework that happened actually changed the exterior of the ship, which hasn't happened before. But they already have in law Mark 1 and Mark 2 for the Hornet, and you can see the Mark 1, which is is current like the F7C. That's the Mark 1, and then you've got the Mark 2 variant, which is the F7A, as far as I'm aware. Someone correct me on that if I'm not.
I don't know about that, but I know there's like 6 variants of Gladiuses. So the Gladius we fly now is like the 6th variant of it or something like that.
Yeah.
In law,
and
by
that's
standards.
still an extremely old model.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think they will continue to upgrade those models as they go along, but I would rather see them, either gold pass it or rework it like they're doing the 600i. I mean, they're doing a rework there, which is quite.
But if we
Question
hark
is-
back to this being a simulation, so for instance, I drive I think it's a Mark 7 VW Golf. Still, you go back
Nice.
to the Mark 1, the Mark 2, the Mark 3, it's beautiful cars, just as functional. Maybe don't have the same sort of benefits and sort of like systems on board. But then you got like, say, the 600 series, and they're rumored to have the whole rework, it's coming up soon, TM, all of that. Is the new one necessarily going to be more desirable than the old one to everyone? Some people might be completely in love with the 600 and they bought it because of that, and it's about to change internally, maybe externally, and they might be a bit upset.
That's why you pledge for a concept.
Yeah, but this comes down to an overarching question as well, right? Should they make new ships?
Yes.
New
We see it in real
concepts?
life.
Why did
so
we
yeah.
even consider?
No. Think about this, because I have a hot take on this. So, right, let me give 2 assumptions and a hot take on this, right?
Sure.
Assumption is CIG need to sell ships because that's their revenue model, right? That's how they make their revenue.
Yeah.
The vast majority of it. I mean, if it goes subscription model, I'm out of the game anyway. The other assumption is CIG have built a team of 20 plus people now, right? And they need to give them something to do. Yes, they could lay them all off, but let's think.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Definitely don't do that. We
Don't
like
try
John
to have
Crew
again.
in this team.
Unless it's Origin design team.
Well, it's multiple teams now,
Hey,
US and Europe.
Yeah, let me make my point. So let's say those are 2 assumptions, right? That team's staying and they need to sell ships, right?
Yeah.
But I think there should be no new concepts between 4.0 and 1.0. And the reasons why is we have 200 plus ships now, coming to close to 300. And there is enough of a critical mass there to keep the money rolling in with new players coming in and existing players with FOMO, right? Yeah. That's one point. I've got another 2 there. The other point is there's complete the backlog, right? I know the BMM point, right? Complete that backlog, get the big ships out, get all of them out, get that done. And the third point I had there was gold pass everything, right? The fucking sorry for swearing. The Andromeda can't have its allotted guns because of the landing gear, right? So you have to put size 4s on the bottom. So and things like that, right? So go past everything and sell that again. And this is where I think it comes down to the point you're raising, OneDark, is if you're goal passing everything, you put it into the game, then you could sell a new version of it, a Mark II or a Mark III, and that's your new game. It's a new ship. It's not a new concept. It's just a new version of the same ship. So your Mark II Golf is still there. Your Mark 6 Gladius is still there, but then you come out with a Mark 7 Gladius, which forces people to either put more money down in game or in real life.
But see, you can build on that. So, I wake up tomorrow, if they release like a Mark 9, my Mark 7's still sat there in the driveway. And I like my Mark 7. If you've got someone who has a Mark 7 Gladius and Mark 8 Gladius comes out, you could offer that person either a free upgrade or a $5 upgrade to that new ship. Some people will take it and some people won't. And you'll reduce down the number of how many of those Mark 6s were on the market. And say, for instance, they decide that, take the Saber Raven, for instance. They're like, it does data running, but we wish we'd not put that in there. The Mark 7 of that, or even the Mark 2 in that case, we're not going to include that. There's then going to be potentially a market, if ever they release that particular ship, probably an awful example to use. But there's going to be a market for that particular mark of that vehicle.
Right.
And that would create a buzz, which we all love. Part of the reason why we're here.
FOMO. It'll be FOMO.
It's FOMO
you
to
love
a degree,
FOMO.
and it's sensationalism.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, I don't know, my lore in the game doesn't go back as far as some of you guys, but what was one of the first ships to be created and flyable?
The Zeus Mark 1.
It was the
No, not in lore, so actually like in-game flyable.
It was the Hornet, wasn't it?
So imagine they had that base vehicle, and that is now limited. If they upgraded it now and they went to a different model, slowly, that number, the same way cars do in real life, slowly, that number will go down. And the lower that number gets, the more lucrative it's going to get. So if you've got a day one, week one ship that I know in the game, eventually you're not going to be able to give game packages and ship packages and stuff like that, but that ship value is going to increase as much as you're not going to give it away, but it would add a reason to hold on to certain ships. You know that the I don't even know what ship, Saber Raven might be getting a gold pass, might be getting a rework, and they might take some things out or might change things. For example, they're probably not, but the old version of the Saber Raven will be worth more. For example, if they got rid of one of the EMPs for it to have better functionality elsewhere, it's got 2 EMPs, right? But someone might go, nah, 2 EMPs is solid. That version of it, granted it's already a bloody expensive ship anyway, is going to become more expensive because they want that specific layout.
You're going to see the reverse bell curve, aren't you? So, new item comes out, depreciates in value, and then it becomes vintage and goes up and skyrockets in value. And I think you see the same with the ships.
But the only, sorry, go on, Magnus. Then I'll raise my point.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for making it this far into the video. We're obviously very new to doing this. It's now the day after we filmed that. This is our first attempt at doing it. Unfortunately, from here, we encountered some technical issues, and we unfortunately lost Magnus's feed. It's a shame because he had a lot of interesting things to say, but unfortunately, we don't have that. So with the rest of it, it's probably going to heavily be edited to make some sense for you. But yeah, thank you for getting this far at least, and we hope to see you again. We've got some really interesting topics coming up. Yeah, thank you for your understanding.
Eventually, 1.0, I think, and beyond, you're not going to be able to give ships. There'll be account stuck.
Oh no, they've said there's going to be an in-game trading system.
There's an
and
in-game
that's going to leak
then,
to outside and eBay and everything.
Well, I hope not, because I hate RNT sort of gameplay.
Well, we already see that
stuff,
now
but
with a lot of the sort of like armor that people can loot in bunkers. There's an actual market on like Facebook and places where people have listed the items and set prices for them. So you see like rail guns selling for, what was it, 250k? Like, that, we've already seen a kind of market actually in game. The one thing that, I mean, I really love all the points that are here, and I really want to see stuff like that. But there's a technical point that this Mark 1, Mark 2 thing, it comes down to the space of the game on the hard drive, because that's one of the key points that they mentioned was the reason why they weren't going to do it. All these models that are packaged, even though they're compressed, they're like the most sort of like they're the heaviest files I think that they have, which makes the game as big as it does. So it just all depends how accessible we want this game with having the amount of choice for ships. I think
You said hard drive. Do you play on a hard drive? Because that's pretty. Yeah.
solid state drive. Sorry,
Ah, okay,
Freudian
cool.
slip.
Okay, well, they could look at that, couldn't they?
We're old. We're used to hard drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cassette tapes.
What?
Yeah, but
They can look at streamlining that process. So maybe in the
Yeah.
position of where you call or claim your ship is where that asset is loaded in. It could be downloaded. Say, from
there's
the
ways
server.
around that. I mean, SSDs are getting bigger and cheaper anyway. But the other challenge to that is that they then have to maintain 2 versions of the same ship. So suddenly
Yeah.
200 ships have become 400 ships.
Yeah.
But then how's that any different from releasing a new ship, right?
Right.
Because so
I
you've
want to
gotta
build
maintain that extra ship
on
anyway.
Magnus's opinion that why would they release a new version of the ship if the old version of the ship eventually is going to be worth more? And I'll tell you for why this is a fantastic idea for the marketing team at CIG. If you had something which you knew would be worth 10 times the money in a couple of years' time, after they've seen a couple of mark releases, would you not keep that ship? But also, potentially, if you like the new rendition, buy the new rendition. So instead of just paying the money once for, say, a Gladius, you now have 2.
New ships are always OP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I'm glad you pointed out there. It's like with this system, how do you police what's it, power creep? Was it like you know, you don't the one thing that I would rather see than have like new ships come out and be more powerful than the previous and people like buying them with hard cash. They did say that they were going to make it more of a reputation based game, so that if you wanted to get, say for example, I bought the Idris K and I was really happy with it. If I got reputation increase with the UEE, then I would open myself up for buying the slightly better Idris M, which isn't available on the market unless you buy, I can't remember which pack it was, Praetorian pack or the Legatus pack. But there's an element of, it's not just purchasing money, purchasing ships. It's an element of keeping people engaged in the game. Because if no one's playing the game, then no one's going to be buying the ships. So I think reputation is going to be a big way for getting those newer models that are slightly more powerful than all the ships that we've pledged for. But what do you guys think?
I think the idea is pretty good, but I think it could be added as well. Like the progression would not necessarily be player progression, because you're talking Idris level. So you're going from like an Idris, correct me if I'm wrong, is it the Idris K and then to like an Idris, is it the Idris M?
I mean,
Better one?
you can check out Bronson Bolts. It's a lore piece written by the lore team about the M50, and you've got the standard M50, and then in this piece they talk about the modified version for the CDF, which is a Crusader Defense Force, and that it's like a modified police interceptor. So it's kind of like a new variant of it, which is in lore, but like yeah.
So that's already in game. So there's 2 examples of that. One example is the F7 that has 2 variants in game already. One is the military variant and one is the variant we all get. And the same thing with the F8, right? They have 2 variants, so they'll just have to do something similar with the Gladius, where they have a new military variant, which is just because think about it. This is a non-issue, whether it's a variant or it's a new ship. Is still the same issue. This thing about balancing it within the same thing, right? If they make it, anything new they release needs to be balanced within the whole ecosystem, within all these 100 ships, right? Or 200 ships.
Can I just ask you guys a question? The F7C, how many people here have seen another player fly that ship recently? Because I've seen tons of Hornet Ghosts. The F7C I haven't seen, and I think that is kind of something that Magnus was was sort of like tying into, or maybe you weren't, but it's definitely there. It's like we see so many variants of the Hornet that no one's really flying the base variant, from what I
That's
can
because
see.
everyone flies the meta, right? So
It's-
until they because there will always be a meta, but until they soften it out to be across multiple ships,
Yeah.
people will keep buying the same ship, and I think that's part of what they're trying to do with master modes, right?
I
What
think
reason
ship
do you
pricing.
what reason do you have to fly any other ship other than the F7 Ghost? The Ghost is ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah.
What reason would you have to fly another one? Until master modes and stuff,
You
and
can
they
make
start
it into the
adding
Murder
in.
Hornet as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah,
tracker,
exactly.
the Hornet tracker, if they implement the same stuff that they said they were going to give to the Cutty, no, not the Cutty, Magnus, what's that ship you love from Drake? That's like the Cutter. That's it, the
Oh,
Cutter. So the Cutter
yeah.
Scout, that sort of game, when they mentioned that you'll be able to create jump markers and then jump straight to that point. The other Hornets won't be able to do that, but the Hornet tracker might have that functionality, which gives it an edge against the Hornet Ghost for a different purpose, which
But
I
it
think
doesn't
is
right
really good.
now, so you're not going to
Exactly.
see them.
But we're talking down the line here. So like with I think one of the things that makes me want to like go for a ship that might not be the meta, it all comes down to the pricing for me. So if I've got, say for example, you've got like the Super Hornet is like 20,000, and I'm just using random numbers here. Like if the base Hornet is like 8,000, I might really want the meta, but I'll go, you know what, that's 8,000 in game. When they get the economy fleshed out, that's when those other ships will be more attractive, because it's like, well, I can jump to this and then I can keep grinding for the other one. So that will come in time. But
Yeah, you'll definitely see other ships. Like continuing on from that bit is when the gameplay for stealth ships is they've started to flush it out. They've started to add the stealth elements to it. But when stealth ships start getting a detriment, like they start getting their debuffs as well. So certain stealth ships are not. Then I've got a particular opinion. I think I've bored OneDark with this opinion before about what certain ships taking certain components. Stealth ships shouldn't be able to take like industrial components, for example, because it defeats the purpose of a blooming stealth ship.
yeah, definitely.
But when you get all of those gameplay mechanics in it, yes, you will start seeing less Hornet Ghosts. You will start seeing more trackers and more the other ones. I can't even remember now. But you're still going to see a lot more of the ghosts and a lot more of what's meta when you're flying one to one. But if you're flying against groups, you're going to see one or two trackers. You're going to see
Wildfire.
couple of ghosts. You're going to see some wildfighters. You're going to see some multi-crews. You're going to see some heartseekers and some stuff like that. Like when they're actually good, you're going to see fleets of F8s all of the time. Big fleets of F8s because
not the way Master Modes is going. The way Master Modes is tuning, you're going to see big fleets of big ships.
I'm excited for that because I've not actually seen any Master Mode yet. I've not looked in. I know I understand the basic premise, but
yeah, the current one flies quite well. But yeah, I mean they need to tune up. And yeah, that's a separate topic.
Yeah.
How Master, I mean, you could spend a whole hour on how Master Modes is going to change the
An
whole
hour?
dynamic of ships.
We could spend a whole week on this podcast with Master Modes.
Yeah.
Just like
We've
how it's
answered
been
one
missed.
question. It's been an hour.
yeah, we're going to be doing like a Le Mans
Yeah.
night race at this rate. A fucking podcast is going to take 24 hours.
It sounds
How
like a
long-
great
how long
charity
are you-
event.
How long are you wanting the podcast to last? In
I
An
think it
hour.
should be an hour. Yeah.
okay, so
How
So-
many
we
questions
need to
do you
get
have for
better.
the first one?
In the comment section below, there's going to be links to each different time. So it's separated by 2 hour periods, and each 2 hours we're going to talk about a new topic. I
And
think
it
we're going to
reverts to the
stop at
same one.
36. Yeah, and we're going to be so far off a tangent.
I might actually put
I
this
mean,
one out. It's
we'll
been
get
good.
better at this as we go along. I mean, yeah.
Which brings me to my next point. If anyone out there is interested, Ethan and I have organised the lovely bar session in Manchester.
Yeah, we
I've just
have.
had CIG message me.
Ooh.
Is this going in? Because continuity
Please stop
again.
emailing us. We are really concerned that you guys are too enthusiastic about this, and we would like you to
No,
stay away
ironically,
from
it's about
Manchester.
this. It is about this as well. So
No
they
way.
saw our message on the Bar Citizen Organizer Discord about awaiting numbers from SIG. And they were wondering if we'd reached out to them because he works at SIG and hadn't even heard or seen anything apart from the stuff he saw on the Discord. So I gave him some information. He's just said thanks for getting back to me. He'll keep an eye out for the email. Just wanted to make sure he hadn't missed it, as I know at least a couple of us from our team are interested in coming.
Very nice.
So we will get back to
Bring
him.
your friends too. I was just going to say, do you really want your names out there?
I'm happy with it.
I'm happy with it.
It just says Pete and Paul, doesn't it?
It does. It's fairly common.
Well,
but
Paul
just,
and Peter.
Ooh,
I mean,
PD.
I can't really think of anything bad happening from that, hopefully.
I mean,
but,
Easton looks like a Paul anyway. People would have guessed.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. I'm going to have to think on that one.
Do you know the really bad thing is? I can see it.
Exactly. Looks like a Paul.
When you've been holding on to that name for ages.
You grow to it.
Yeah, it just, exactly.
Cool. We've been Synchronous. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah. See you in the verse, and don't pirate us. Go back. No.
We challenge you. We have Chong and Keiko. We challenge you.
Good night, everyone.
If you hate Drake, smash like and subscribe. Do it now.